In 1762, near the end of the 7 Years' War, France ceded Louisiana to its Bourbon ally, Spain. The following year, the Treaty of Paris partitioned Louisiana between the victorious English and Spain. The English took possession of land east of the Mississippi River, while Spain retained dominion over New Orleans and all land west of the river. When French colonists in New Orleans learned that they were now subjects of the Spanish crown, a period of uncertainty and political crisis commenced. In 1766, the first Spanish governor, Antonio de Ulloa, arrived in New Orleans. He arrived with few troops and little pomp or circumstance. Further, he kept delaying a ceremony of the formal transfer of power. His political position, therefore, appeared weak and tenuous. Spain was principally interested in Louisiana as an imperial border colony to protect against British incursions into Spanish Mexico. As Ulloa began promulgating new commercial and defense policies, an alliance was forged between the colonial elite in New Orleans, who ran the Superior Council, the acting governing body of the colony, and rural farmers along the German coast, upriver from the city, as well as newly arrived Acadian migrants. Urban merchants, planters, and small-scale farmers alike feared that new trade restrictions would decimate the Louisiana economy, which depended upon trade networks across the Atlantic world that defied imperial boundaries. As political tensions and economic uncertainty escalated, a plot emerged amongst members of the Superior Council to oust Ulloa. In October of 1768, Ulloa announced new stringent Spanish trade policies, which would forbid trade with non-Spanish ports. The proclamation created a pretext to set the plot in motion. Conspirators in New Orleans began recruiting militias in the countryside and circulating a petition of grievances against Ulloa, tapping into mutual feelings of anger, resentment, and economic anxieties. The formal proceedings of the Superior Council were timed with the arrival of rural militias in New Orleans. On the morning of October 29th, 1768, a crowd of hundreds gathered in the Place d'Armes to witness the official delivery of the petition to the Superior Council. Ulloa himself was not present, having already fled aboard a Spanish ship the night before. After reading the list of grievances, the Superior Council voted to expel Ulloa, leaving him 3 days to leave the colony. In short order, Ulloa embarked for Havana, and the bloodless coup appeared to have been a success. The Superior Council dispatched an emissary to France in hopes of convincing the Crown to retake Louisiana. France, however, had little interest in doing so, and instead supported the Spanish efforts to suppress the rebellion. A few months following Ulloa's expulsion, the Spanish appointed a new governor, Alejandro OReilly. In the summer of 1769, he left Havana with a flotilla of 23 ships and nearly 2,000 soldiers. He raised the Spanish flag at New Orleans and arrested the principal leaders of the rebellion. 21 men were banished from the colony, 5 were imprisoned in Cuba, and following a nearly 2-month tribunal, 6 men were sentenced to death. One, Joseph Villery, died before the sentence could be carried out. The others, Nicolas Chauvin Lafreniere, Jean-Baptiste Noyen, Pierre Caresse, Pierre Marquis, and Joseph Millet, were executed by firing squad at Fort St. Charles on the edge of town, at the foot of present-day Esplanade Avenue and Frenchmen Street. While O'Reilly's actions were not particularly excessive in light of the circumstances, local history has supplied him with the moniker Bloody O'Reilly. Memory of the Revolt of 1768 is preserved in a popular ghost story, one of the oldest ghost stories in the city. Pear Dagger, a Capuchin friar who came to New Orleans from Quebec, served as the priest of St. Louis Church at the time of the revolt. According to legend, OReilly, being so cruel and so bloody, forbade the men Catholic burial rites. Their families, crushed by this final humiliation, asked Father Dagobert to petition the Spanish officials on their behalf. Failing to persuade them, however, he took matters into his own hands. One rainy night, he beckoned the bereaved families to his quarters. There reposed the corpses of the 5 men. How had the priests conveyed the bodies from the killing ground to the church? The families joined Dagobert in a procession to the St. Peter Street Cemetery, the original cemetery of the city, at the corner of St. Peter and Burgundy Streets. Along the way, they chanted Kyrie eleison and sang funeral hymns before interring the bodies in the cemetery. Pear Dagobert continued to serve as the priest of St. Louis Church until his death in 1776. But on certain rainy nights, in the pre-dawn dark, along the alleyways of St. Louis Cathedral, one may still catch a scrap of song in the sandaled footsteps of the Friar Dagobert as he traces the former steps of his miraculous procession for the heroes of 1768.